Hey there, Joe Brunsman, insurance broker to the stars, back with another video for you. This is a common misconception that really throws a lot of people for a loop. And this is, what is a record for a cyber insurance policy? You'll also see this type of question in a Tech E&O policy. So I thought I'd make a quick video to really try and help out all those people filling out those applications out there, really kind of get down to what this is and how you should think about this topic. Obviously, I'm probably not your insurance guy. I'm definitely not your attorney. I'm not providing legal advice. But nonetheless, I think this is really important that every business understands this because there's some deeper implications involved with this particular question. So this is an example you'll see on a cyber insurance application. You'll also see it on a Tech E&O application. And you'll see that they're asking for different types of information and number of records estimated. Depending upon the type of application you have, there could be different types of information listed. It could be more general. It could be more specific. And in this particular instance, you'll see in kind of bands. So 100,000, less than $1 million, or over $1 million. Some applications will ask you for exact specific numbers. So obviously you need to look at your own application, but let's kind of figure out, what is the insurance company really trying to get at here? What does the underwriter actually care about? So if you boil all that down, what they're really asking for is, how much do you have, right, in your possession? What are the amounts of PII, PHI, and PCI? Obviously, I would assume that if you're watching this video, you know what that means. If not, at the end, there's a copy of my book that you can download for free that really jumps into those more. But at the end of the day, I understand that, yes, it could be painful to calculate this type of information. It's not like most people just have this kind of like running taskbar on their server somewhere that says, hey, you now have X number of unique records of PII, PHI, or PCI on your system. Yes, it does take a little bit of work, but think about this from the insurance company perspective. What the insurance company is trying to figure out is, okay, what is the risk that they are taking on? That's going to go into your premium. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But this is material to the risk that the insurance company is actually taking on and therefore charging you for with your premium. So you don't want to take this lightly. It's also important for you because now you can think about the amount of risk that you internally have as a business. And it's also super important for me as a broker to be able to see those numbers, because now I can think about, okay, what is the dollar figure we need to start thinking about just in terms of minimum appropriate limits for that business. So, a lot of these costs are going to be mandated anyways following a breach. So you don't want to shortchange yourself. Please make sure that you are taking that calculation seriously and do your own appropriate due diligence there. All right, now let's get into a multiple instance case scenario. I get this question all the time, so I thought I'd put this in there just to try and clarify this point. Now let's take an accounting firm as an example. I think that's the easiest way to actually clarify what my position is on this. Let's say you have 10 years of tax returns on your system and it's a single client, so no dependents, no wife, it's not a joint file, it's just one guy, and all 10 years of that guy's tax returns get stolen by some criminal. How many records does that count as? Or put another way, how many breach notification letters and potential, 1-year issuance of credit monitoring is the insurance company going to have to pony up for? Well, in this case, that would just be one record. So if you just did a quick search on your system and you said, oh, well, let's say you only have one client. You said, hey, I've done this guy's tax returns for 10 straight years. That's 10 records. No, actually, that could only be classified as one record. Now, let's take a different example here. Let's say you've done 10 years of tax returns. Once again, all 10 years of that gets stolen by some criminal. But on that tax return, you had the husband, the wife, and there was 2 dependents there. Think about it again. How many years of credit monitoring and breach notification letters would have to be sent out? In this particular case, it would be 4. So you can see there somewhat similar circumstances, but totally different outcomes on how you actually calculate records. Now, jumping back to that cyber insurance application, one topic I didn't cover was the other category. I don't think I've ever actually seen that completed. One example I could think of is if you're an educational institution and you fall under the auspices of HIPAA, there could be, let's say, education records, some sort of directory information. something else inside of there where you're like, I'm not really sure, but we have all these other types of records that we're keeping there, that would probably be something you want to disclose to the underwriter just to make sure that you're not making some sort of material misrepresentation. Now, obviously, they're probably going to ask you about that. You'll see here it says, please describe below. So you'll want to just be entirely forthcoming with whatever you think that other category could potentially be. All right, now jumping here into the final implications, here's some of the takeaways I think everybody needs to know. Be very thorough and very careful with your estimations. As I said before, it helps me, it helps your underwriter, it helps the insurance company, and it also helps your own business to really start quantifying what that minimum risk to your business could be. So please be careful doing that. Next, you got to think about playing the long game. You know, if you start getting in a situation where you're trying to cut hairs to lower that record cost, that really could actually end up screwing you in the long run, because a lot of those first party costs, so, I've talked about credit monitoring and breach notification letters, for example, those may very well be legally mandated that your business provide those anyways. So if you're cutting hairs, you're lowering that record cost, and that makes a material impact on my side when I start thinking about what your minimum insurance needs should be. You could end up really just kind of cutting off your nose to spite your face. So you don't want to do that. You also need to remember that that could be a material misrepresentation to the insurance company, and they could try and deny you coverage on that if it comes back and you were just way off base. And let's say you intentionally tried to lower that record count to lower your premium, that could really come back and screw you. So please don't do that. Also, if you're ever in doubt about this, just ask. You have to ask. You can ask. Hopefully your insurance broker knows what this is. You could also ask a privacy and compliance attorney to assist you with this. Oftentimes you will ask, let's say, your MSP to assist you with this. But if you're ever in doubt, you should always ask. You can always just defer to the underwriter. And in that case, if you're ever unsure, if just at the end of the day, like nobody knows the answer to this question, or you just can't find the answer, or let's say, yes, you have information. Let's say you're an MSP, you have information on your system, but you're like, hey, that's encrypted. We literally have no access to that. There's no possible way that anybody inside of my business could even access those records. That's totally on our clients, and we just don't know. Like, there's just literally no feasible way we can answer this question truthfully. Well, in that case, just add an addendum. With that explanation, push the onus to the underwriter. Don't hold that close to the chest. You always want to make sure that you are being as truthful and as forthcoming as possible with those applications, because you don't want to poke the bear. Just trust me on that. Don't poke the bear. Be as truthful and forthcoming as you possibly can. All right, with that, I am done. I will get off my soapbox here. This is the copy of my latest book, Damage Control, Cyber Insurance Compliance, about 500 pages of everything you probably wanted to know and then some about cyber insurance and compliance. If you would like to download a free copy, this is the link where you can get it. If you want to support the cause and keep my wife happy, you can also download it on Amazon as a Kindle version, or you can purchase a physical copy there. And with that, stay safe.